Placemaking is the intersection of building and engineering, plus commerce, plus creativity. It's the moment when those things come together.
There's lots of different kinds of placemakings, but it's the fundamental part of it is it's a place where people want to be. It attracts people. It creates spontaneity. It creates magic.
Other than physical attributes, things that make a space great have to do with the culture and passion that's coming out of that space.
We had a lot of fun. It was
Absolutely.
It was a collaborative effort, and people would come in and say, if we have these doors crafted in Pittsburgh, it's going to be $20,000. And I would say, I know some Amish guys up in the woods, and they did it for $8,000. So we had a lot of fun that way.
We did. And to add to that, I mean, what people don't realize in the existing part of the project, or the existing part of the building, it's an old 1915 warehouse building that was converted, but even certain elements that Ellen brought to that part of the project before we were ever even involved was even to the point of painting the ceilings herself to get to the image that she wanted. So we knew we had to be very conscious of her mission, the types of spaces that she wanted to do, and then give a very honest approach to the aesthetic when we got done. Just as importantly, we also recognized from a distance, there's a bridge that goes into town that you can cross over. You can literally see this project because it kind of sits on what was kind of an abandoned alley, an area that was a little bit neglected. So in the sense of what we put on was a very soft and simple light roof solution to something that was very stereotomic around it, and really transformed that whole area that was left neglected into a place that people could come and get a real good sense of entry to this mission.
Yes, now when you come in on the curved bridge, this building is highlighted and it lifted this whole area of town. And what's happened as a result of this, we've had major renovation of our other businesses behind us and upgrades, and they've torn some structures down and upgraded that area. So it's really kind of created a renaissance for this corner of the city, and it's really been helpful. And the commissioners, the county commissioners, are always commenting, and this is where it's happening. This is where, when we have meetings for the community, this is where they all happen now.
Excellent. And can you give us a little brief on the entrance butterfly? Or is it a butterfly? I guess I should ask.
It is the butterfly. And I have a dear friend who is a metal artist. And I went to him and I said, I have this opening and this is the dimensions, and I want you to fill it with a butterfly. And we drew the template together, and we're able to, he manufactured it. It's of stainless steel that was locally produced. And then it is, has some copper elements, but it is actually painted with a copper polymer. So that it's, because it is stainless steel, we wanted it to be kind of rust proof. And you can see it from every floor from a different view. It's a different perspective from every floor on the front.
Yeah, we worked actually directly as that was being thought about with Ellen to actually set the angle so that you could get that view from multiple points, not just in the building and entry, but even further back on the site, and even to the point of reducing the structure so that it didn't overwhelm. Originally, I wanted to see the columns be a little heavier going up, but that would have taken away from this part of it. So we felt that was pretty important. We backed the structure off accordingly.
And the butterfly glows from the bridge. So when you're coming across the bridge, you see that golden coppery glow of the butterfly because it's lit at night. And it's just really fantastic.
Great. Now, you had mentioned that community meetings are happening and there's motivation for development and redevelopment behind you. Can you give us a little further comment on kind of the healthy aspect of the community, both from the the services that you offer and some of the other kind of things like that?
Well, we've grown into the primary provider for Butler County. And so we deliver all the trauma treatment services for children and families. And we just recently opened a large program for the geriatric population. And what we offer a full continuum of services. When I started Family Pathways 25 years ago, we were above a physician's office and had one employee. Now we have 70. We provide foster care, adoption, in-home supports for families to help them keep their children. We have 16 clinicians that are trauma certified and, work with children as they're recovering from trauma. We work with the community constantly, and if there's an issue or they need a place to triage, we open the facility up for them. We have the state health department here, so we get involved in their immunization projects. We have a youth drug prevention program here, so we get involved with their projects. We're very, very connected into the community. And 27 years ago, I started Butler Collaborative for Families, which is a group of 57 human service providers. And they have followed me wherever I've gone. So they meet here and have their events here, where they meet here twice a month and strategize for any community gaps that may occur. And then they have their events here, like the Mary Resource Fair and the celebration of collaboration in the summer. So we just really are very much into promoting community. And, if there's a need, if the firemen need to hose down the hillside to check their engines, or if the police need to come and run around and wrestle each other in the campus, this is where they come. We're just open to everything, anything that supports the community.
Well, that's great. So, very much a couple things about Urban Land Institute, ULI, is we've always believed in, responsible development, and placemaking is so important to, bring people in and motivate healthy stuff, which obviously you're doing with all the various meetings and the services. And, the addition, which is being recognized as a finalist, is really a part of that whole mission. So as we wrap up, we have a couple more minutes for this project. Lauren, why don't you start with maybe some, closing comments on the project that we haven't heard yet, or that you'd like to highlight?
I think the only thing that's really left is to really talk a little bit about this site. If you see the image on the upper left-hand side, that's actually looking back towards where we developed the field area that was kind of lost. The end of it, the long-term goal is to actually build correct me if I'm wrong, Alan, to have something for outdoor community activities. So that site strategy all the way across and looking at it from a distance from the macro all the way to the micro is pivotal in how we sited the addition, how the addition faces towards the bridge and down that path line, so that you get that sense of this new structure, this thing that meant to be a gem within this, like I said, stereotomic envelope that was around it, as well as something that could generate and bring focus. And I think that we achieved it with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really, when people want to do an event, they call here. We give a lot of space away. I mean, we didn't build this really to make money. We built this because it was part of our mission. And, it's always surprising. You never know what people are now we have people coming here to vote. That's a new addition because of the addition. And, whatever the community needs, we really try to, it will continue to evolve.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for participating today, and we hope to see you on May 12th. And best of luck as as one of the three finalists, I guess you have a 33% chance of winning.
Well, great. We're just happy to be considered.
That's exactly
Right.
right.
Well, one of the things that this year's jury was really motivated to do is, one, have a very wide cross-sectional of our industry represented, and then try to recognize projects throughout the region. So, even though you're in Butler, you're part of the overall Pittsburgh region, and we're very happy that you're one of the finalists.
Well, thank you. We're happy to be considered.
Great.
It was a fun project.
Right. So we'll move on to Gertie's Woods. So if you could flip the slide. So for Gertie's Woods Conservation Project, placemaking doesn't have to be a physical structure. It's actually a healthy place. So this is a wonderful example of that. And besides Lindsay, and we didn't get this on the slide, but we have a couple other representatives that will be speaking after we kind of show the pictures and the video. Danielle Spinola, who is a committee member, and she's a Millville community activist and owner of Tupelo Honey. We have Abby Nelson, who is also a committee member and a teacher. And then we have Brian Volovich, who is was part of the Grassroots Awareness and Fundraising Committee and is also an activist in Millville. So we're going to go through, we have a video and some pictures to share, and then we'll go into our discussion. So here's a few pictures in the cross section. I thought, which was interesting, is that this place, and I unfortunately haven't been there. I've been to a lot of places outside, but the ability for families to get together and do things, and mountain biking, which I'm getting a little old for. I can just ride my bike on a trail, and hiking and everything else. So this is a good cross section of that area. Next. And, groups, what I thought was interesting about the picture on the left is, you got a nice view of downtown Pittsburgh. So there's some probably topography as it is everywhere in Pittsburgh. And then of course, we have some students for cleanup and such on the right. So again, promoting healthy outdoor activity and people engaging with each other. Next. Okay, here's the video. And I don't think we have sound yet. So we may want to start over.
Hey everyone, today I'll be talking about what Gertie's Woods is and the project to help save it. If you have any questions, please ask them after the video. So what are Gertie's Woods? Gertie's Woods is a 155-acre woodlands located in Reserve Township near Millville Rural and Schiller Township. These woods can be accessed by traveling by bike or bus. Many trails located inside of Gertie's Woods and is estimated to stretch 3 miles. These woods are home to many mammals, birds, and a variety of trees. Here's a montage of what Gertie's Woods look like. So why am I talking about this? On Earth Day, April 22nd of 2020, a project was launched by the Allegheny Land Trust, along with many of the supporters, to conserve Gertie's Woods forever. The goal is to donate enough money to purchase the land so that it can be preserved and protected. Allegheny already loses green space at a rate of more than 2,000 acres per year. So, the Allegheny Land Trust, which has protected more than 2,700 acres of green space since 1993, seeks to protect the remaining green land for the good of the community. So, why are these woods important? Well, Gertie's Woods are beneficial for both the environment and the community. Gertie's Woods help maintain and improve air and water quality. It's already home to plenty of species, as I mentioned before. The land provides accessible and healthy outdoor recreational opportunities. Gertie's Woods also serves as protection to natural disasters. The forest landscape slopes down to Gertie's Run, which could be flooded if water flows downwards from the woods. However, Gertie's Woods is responsible for absorbing this rainwater. In fact, every year, Gertie's Woods absorb 121 million gallons of this rainwater that would otherwise flood Gertie's Run. As a whole, Gertie's Woods provide natural scenic beauty for local communities and its region. Helping this conservation project would not only preserve the woods, but would also keep these environmental and community benefits. Protecting this green land would sustain its biodiversity, provide healthy recreation, preserve its region's scenic natural beauty, increase property values and tax revenue, create an environmental resource for students, absorb rainwater to mitigate flooding, and improve the water and air quality for the community. Purchasing these woods for the Allegheny Land Trust would mean that the woods wouldn't have to be logged or entirely changed for construction or business by a different purchaser.
Okay, so that gives us a nice visual of this. And I think we've all learned a little bit through the video. So I'd like to bring on the panelists now. If you guys would unmute yourself, Lindsay, Danielle, Abby, and Brian, I believe. So, you know, the first, I think I'd like you guys to comment on exactly, you know, what motivated this whole campaign. And obviously this video is a bit out of date because the funds were raised and the conservation was done. So, starting out, each of you, if you would kind of, you know, tell us why and how you got involved and what you see as a highlight.
Thanks, Robin. I'll get us started. Unfortunately, Brian wasn't able to join us today. He wears many hats in the community, and we're excited that he was able to help us protect the land, but he couldn't make it today. So, I mean, just to start, we're honored to be included. You know, Gertie's Woods is not a built environment. You know, it's protecting specifically an unbuilt environment where people can kind of build their own memories. And that's kind of how the land came to us in the first place. And when I say the land came to us, I mean Allegheny Land Trust. I'm a full-time staff member there, and the Millvale community specifically, but also some residents in Reserve and Shaler had been trying to protect the green space for a few years, because once they you know, had seen the land being logged, they realized, oh, this space that we've all been using for, you know, an extended backyard to Millvale or to Shaler or to Reserve could one day, you know, be demolished. And that would not only impact people's ability to take a walk close to home or, you know, engage in some nature play close to home, but it would also kind of exacerbate Millvale's flooding issues, which many of you in the region know are pretty bad. So, you know, at that point, Brian and a few other community members brought the project to Allegheny Land Trust protection, land protection team to say, you know, this is a huge green space. It is, you know, partially used and abused in the past, but, you know, is it able to be protected for its conservation benefits now? So that's kind of how it came to Allegheny Land Trust in the first place. And then I would love for two members of our grassroots organizing committee to talk about how they got involved. So Abby or Danielle, whoever wants to go first, go for it.
Hi, my name is Abby Nielsen, and I am a science teacher at Shaler Area High School. I had learned about the Gertie's Woods effort and the grassroots group, and as soon as I heard about it, I joined right in, and I knew I wanted to introduce this to my students. And, you know, we heard a little bit from the video about, you know, the flooding, and Lindsay also brought that up. That is a problem in the community of Millvale. And as a teacher, I see that a lot. And there's a lot of trauma that the students kind of hold on to with this. So for example, in, you know, September 1st of this year, when the remnants of Hurricane Ida came through our community, there was actually students that were on a bus and there was flash flooding. They got stuck on the bus. They had to be rescued by boat. And I will always remember that day, the stress and the worrying. Students were in tears. They were worried about their friends or family, you know, at home, and siblings, because some of the other schools got canceled that day. It really is a big fear of students. And so when I introduced the project to them, it was easy to get them wanting to help with this. This is something that, you know, they worry about, and losing these woods as a resource, or as a, you know, rainwater absorption resource would be very detrimental to our community. So the students got involved, and they grew trees to help with the logging, and they raised almost $8,000, you know, just a couple of my classes, you know, working on this. They went on the news, they called into the news, and they got interviewed, a couple of my students, and promoted our fundraiser. And it was an amazing experience. And, you know, having the students be part of this, and, you know, understand that it's an important space for the health of the community was amazing.
Thanks, Abby. I'm Danielle Spinola. I own a business in Millville, but I'm also a member of the Gertie family, and a long time, my family has been in the region since before the Revolutionary War. So Millville holds a special place in my heart, and these woods in particular, growing up there, were a place that my siblings and friends and I would play in a lot. It was a great space to kind of explore, you know, run around. There was a tree swing in one of the trees. It was just always a really lovely space. And so when I found out it was being logged, it really was heartbreaking, and it was something that was really important for us to save. It serves, there's not very much green space. If you are familiar with Millville, right over the bridge is Lawrenceville and the city, and there's not a whole lot of green space in that area, and air quality in the area is obviously poor. And so just serving as a lung to even the region is so important. So it was just something that I knew I had to get involved with personally and with my business. And so that's why I got involved. Great.
So kind of the next point of discussion is, since this project, you know, is successful, how has the community near and maybe even in the region been able to use this site and some of the things that you're promoting with health?
Yeah, I'll get started on that. I'm sure Abby and Danielle have also used it for their own adventures, but at Allegheny Land Trust, we've already held several events on site because kind of immediately community members were asking, okay, great, glad you protected it, wonderful news, what now? And for us, we're not really used to that energy. We're used to protecting a green space and kind of leaving it be, letting it, you know, continue to exist as a woods. But in this case, there's just such strong community energy behind making it all that it can be. And because there is a lot of restoration work to be done on site, we've partnered with Allegheny Cleanways and some interns that were in the Millville area that wanted to get involved. We've partnered with the library to host different cleanups, tree plantings with Shaler Area School District, Abby's class in particular too. So there's been a lot of kind of cleanup and planting events on site. And we've also held general nature hikes with the community to kind of get to know the flora and fauna, and also specifically the fungi of the green space. And there's just been such tremendous energy behind using the now permanently protected green space right off the bat. And I mean, in this project, like I said, the community was so engaged. There were 36 businesses that helped raise awareness and funds for the campaign, and they've all kind of messaged us since, you know, talking about how they still use it. And you know, like a local distillery created a Gertie's Run gin, and you know, they want to do hikes from the distillery up through the woods. So it's just, yeah, very, very special project. And yeah, 650 individuals donated, and lots of them are, you know, kind of on this continued list and engaging with us to say, you know, how can I get involved in either protecting the space or, you know, running a hike or kind of joining different events that happen there. And yeah, Abby and Danielle, I'm sure you have stuff to say too, so I'll let you talk.
So after the woods were officially protected and the fundraising had concluded, you know, as Lindsay mentioned, we took a big field trip, and the kids had been planting or have been growing trees in class. Last year, our whole room was filled with trees, and we went and actually planted them in the woods. And that was just like a really cool moment. Teaching with COVID has been a struggle, and this was definitely, you know, a very bright spot for the kids to actually get out and help in the community and do that. And much to my surprise, in some ways, you know, you think high school kids on summer vacation that, you know, they would just drop everything and not think about the stuff they did in school. A number of my students showed up this summer. We had like these weekly trail maintenance activities that we would do, and it just kind of clear some new trails out, and you know, some of the change kind of some of the trail kind of pathways a little bit. And they were showing up and they were helping in the summer, and that was amazing. And my students this year, you know, came in first day and they said, well, we heard like everything that, you know, you guys did last year with Gertie's Woods, and we want to do that too. And so we're continuing to plant native things that we can grow and in the classroom, and then we're planning on planting them again to replace some of the logged things. From seed. I tried to bring this home from my classroom, but the cold weather kind of, this poor little leaf is a little droopy. But I brought one of the little trees that the kids, this is what our room is filled with right now. They're Eastern redbud trees that they started from seed, and they're caring for. And, you know, we're hoping to get out there when it's much warmer out and they're much bigger and plant them. So yeah, it's been great. And the kids, you know, now that it's protected and they can go visit anytime they want, and they have just fun getting out there with their friends, and they'll show me pictures and talk about hikes they went on. So it's been great.
All right, Danielle, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the most understated things about this entire project has been that we kicked this off in April of 2020 when the world was super uncertain. And it was a completely grassroots, community-led initiative that raised almost $750,000 to save these 155 acres. It's just in 1 year. We had 1 year to do it. And I think that speaks volumes about a number of people and how important these woods are to the people. I had residents showing up at my store every week with $5, $10, put this in the Gertie's Woods funds. They would just show up at my store and say, I want to put this towards Gertie's Woods. And then Abby's kids, you know, growing trees, and we did a giant sale for those, and people, you know, they, you know, she mentioned before, they got on the news and really pushed for people. And then next thing you know, like we're getting people, family members are calling me, and people are calling me saying like, oh, I want to get a tree. We want to get a tree and preserve the woods. So I think that it's really important when you're looking at this as like how does it affect the community, and what does the community feel about it? I mean, we accomplished a huge feat in a very short amount of time during a very uncertain time in our history, in our life. So that's kind of, yeah, that's my thoughts.
Great. Well, I think that, you know, you're all to be commended for your efforts, number one. Number two, you know, we all, as we bring awareness to locations like this, you know, I live on the north side, so I'm sure I'll run up there one of these days. But yeah, these are important parts of the Healthy Place recognition and the, you know, why we're having these awards and such. And hopefully you'll be able to join us on May 12th, and we'll continue. So thank you very much for your time. And we are now going to move on to 2 Doughboy Square with Desmond Architects, and we have Chip Desmond and Eric Booth. Chip is going to be kind of speaking on the owner's perspective, and then Eric is going to go from the design standpoint, and we have Michael Kuhn from Gendico Construction. And I think this project, you know, is an example of years of Green Building Alliance participation by a number of us in the industry, and the great support that Desmond and Gendico have had, because we do want places that are healthy to work, and some of the new standards coming out. So we'll go through a few pictures and we'll have a discussion. So on the left, I think is for the folks that don't work in the design and construction industry, and better understanding is the diagram on the left kind of highlights the existing building and the new, and then the criteria for the certification that I'm sure Eric and Michael will talk about. I've been in Pittsburgh for 21 years, and I remember when I moved here and I lived down in the South Hills, and I would say, I'm going to Lawrenceville, and people would say, well, don't go there, you're going to be shot. But there was a Piccolo Forno there that you had to drive by Doughboy Square and the initial office of Desmond there in the old building. And so you see that existing, and then the steel structure, and then the finished building on the bottom left. So next slide. So these are obviously some interior shots. I'm sure Eric will probably talk a little bit about stairs, because when I toured the building, that was a topic of conversation. The offices obviously have various gathering spots and workspaces. So it kind of brings the healthy interchange there together. Do we have another slide of pictures, or are we into the, all right, let's back up, and I'll bring on Chip Desmond first, and maybe you can talk from the owner's perspective, Chip.
Sure. Thank you, Robin, and thanks for having us today. Just a brief kind of background of how we got to do this project. There was a master plan that Lawrenceville Development Corp, or now called Lawrenceville Corp, did probably about 10, 15 years ago. And the plan for Doughboy Square and lower Lawrenceville then was basically to fill in the missing teeth, all the lots that were abandoned, all the buildings that were falling down, and just trying to recreate the place that was Butler Street in Lawrenceville, and by filling in all those vacant lots again. So we had participated in that and talked about what we could do with a vacant lot that was behind us. And for years, I had hoped and expected that our company would grow to the point where we could have reason to fill in that parking lot. So around 2015, at the time I was on the AIA, American Institute of Architects Strategic Council, and I was appointed to the Design Health Leadership Group. And this group brought together a lot of universities and people who were involved with Delos, that was involved with the Well Building Institute, the Green Building Institute. And I first started hearing about this well certification of buildings and basically creating healthy spaces for people to live and work. And I brought this back to Eric and I said, hey, we need to do this. We need to build this addition, and because we're way out of space and we're cramming 35 people into a tiny 6,000 square foot space. And so I charged Eric with implementing and designing for us this well certified building. And the goal originally was just to get to well. Little did we know that when we started, it would snowball into really the first well certified gold office building in the city of Pittsburgh. And so with that, I'll hand it off to Eric.
Yeah, so if I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with WELL, but for those who are not, just the very basic description I give is if you're familiar with Lee is about how buildings impact the environment as a rating system. WELL is a rating system that looks at how buildings impact people. And so it looks not only at the physical space, so the obvious things like off-gassing materials and so forth, light and air quality, but also, and very importantly, actually looks at the entire life cycle of the building, from how it's constructed, which is why our partner with Gendoco was really important on this, because it had to be constructed in a very specific manner with respect to making sure that that we didn't, do things that would be unhealthy just within that. And then also how it's used and also how it's maintained. And so the entire thing is really more of a holistic look at the entire building process. And I think it's something that that we often forget about as designers. We kind of design beautiful spaces and we say, whoop, here you go, time to use it. And then that's it, we walk away. And then the only thing we have are nice pictures of it. Where in this case, it's been great because, not only did we do this and not only did we put sort of in place a whole set of policies in which how to use it and how to properly maintain and keep it, but it also has become kind of a laboratory and it's become a case study. Not just, so we have obviously our clients that come in and are interested in it, but it's become sort of a destination for a lot of people to kind of see where a lot of these different techniques and these features can actually be implemented. And so that is something we love to do. We've given countless tours at this point of facility. All of our staff are just basically used to people walking through and looking at it, and they just kind of become second nature as to, well, people are looking at the building. So, and we love to go through and as Robin mentioned, the stair thing is that's kind of like both a positive and a sore spot for me with qualification, just because of it's one of those examples where the specifics of it kind of, I think, defeat the entire integrity. But the purpose of the stairs really was to promote, the use of stairs for vertical transportation, for vertical movement, as opposed to relying upon an elevator. Now, to be very clear, what this project also did is that provided accessibility, because the original building was not accessible. And by putting this addition on, we were actually able to make the entire building accessible, not just the addition part, but also make the existing building addition accessible for folks as well. So.
Great, Michael, you want to jump in now on some of the aspects that you have?
Sure. The only thing that I'll add, in terms of sort of the, how the project was initiated and completed was one, how much we appreciate that Desmond, as both the owner and the architect, engaged with us very early on in the process as partners to deliver on their vision, right? And when I say early on in the process, I think, Chip, we were looking at this thing almost 15, 20 years ago, but how it evolved, right? And what happened through that process was this very strong alignment around purpose, goals, and impact, right? And how that was incorporated into every step of the process, and really, their intentionality around enhancing our capacity, right, as a team, working with each other through this very effective collaboration that was co-learning, it was respecting all of the voices, and ultimately it maximized the benefits, of each of the team members towards, a really successful project that really delivered on what I would say when we started this project 15 years ago was sort of the unimagined potential that was, nestled within this project, right? So to me, that was the exciting part of, working on this project from the very beginning, and then obviously being able to deliver the construction and a really exciting building at the end of the day.
And one thing I'd like to add, just real briefly, is that the timing of our completion of this building was really quite exceptional and completely unintentional. But what happened was we finished the building, and we moved in, and within, I don't know what it was, 10 months or something like that, the pandemic struck. And here we were occupying basically the healthiest office building in Pittsburgh. And I think it gave us a great opportunity to in many ways, just keep working because we were safe. And, we knew we had the cleanest air we could possibly muster out of our systems, the cleanest water we could filter into the building, the best daylight, the opportunity for fresh air with opening windows. And so it just, I think people took a great sense of pride in coming to work here because they felt it to be a safe place to work during the pandemic.
So from that perspective, perhaps you could comment on, this was kind of the first wellness well gold, and you're both an architect and an owner on this project, and working collaboratively. How do you see this project motivating other projects in the region to follow these kinds of standards? And then also, as new ways of constructing and designing buildings keeps coming up, the old adage is, well, I don't want to be the first, right? Great idea, but do we have a construction company that can build it? And do we have a designer that can, design it? And can we keep it economical? And so
Right.
from that standpoint, I think, I'd like to hear your guys' comments on that.
Well, we knew from experience that we had the best partner in Gendico Construction, particularly, specifically Michael Kuhn, and all of his experience in, building green buildings. We knew that, our goal was something that nobody else had really achieved in the area. So we were going to school to do this. I mean, we taught ourselves a very beautiful and valuable and expensive lesson on how to create these kind of buildings. And somebody had to be first. And we felt that, this program, the well building program, was something that was so important that we had to do it. And we had to set the bar for, certainly for the rest of Pittsburgh, but, for the state of Pennsylvania, I think we may have been one of the first in Pennsylvania to achieve well gold. I don't know, Eric, you can verify that or tell me I'm crazy, but, at the time we started this, I think there were only like 240 well buildings in the world. And, and I don't know how many were in the United States, but I think it was under 100. Now it's probably quadruple that. But, this is the future, and the pandemic bears that out in that, people need to live and work in spaces that reinforce good health and healthy living and healthy working. And this building, this space does that. And I think, there couldn't be a better time to be a leader in designing well buildings.
I think what it does is that we've kind of demystified the process. As Chip mentioned, the expense in this was really more our time and learning factor. When it really kind of came down to it, a lot of the systems that we're using and a lot of the techniques we're using did not necessarily add considerable expense to the project. It's just we were just using them in a better way. And we're using design principles that we think all buildings should. So, what this enables us to do now is that, first of all, like I said, it serves as a case study, demystifies a process. It also shows how this can be done and done in a way that looks pretty, it looks like it's acceptable, it's beautiful. But on the other hand, our experience now through this, we basically look at every single project that we do through the lens of wellness, every one of them now. Not necessarily to go well certification, but the idea that buildings impact people in a very, very major way. And our work as designers, no matter our designers, constructors, owners, users, whatever, has a tremendous impact on the actual physical and mental health of people. So as far as I'm concerned, this is sort of our call to all designers or anyone who's involved in the building trades to basically step up the game and design buildings for people again, because that's really what this is all about.
Great. Michael, you want to wrap us up?
Well, from that perspective and that voice, what I can say is somebody that was involved in the project, but as somebody, that is sort of looking at the leadership that Desmond is presenting, from Gendico's standpoint, we look for meaningful work that has a net positive impact on people, communities, and nature. And, we look at sort of this regenerative project delivery process. And when you think about how, Desmond elevated employee health, but also the inspiration of health into the rest of their work, having the opportunity to build, a building that's a healthy environment for architects that are designing the buildings that are shaping our region, shaping the communities, shaping the people in a very healthy and net positive way. It's remarkable what they were able to accomplish through this project. So really proud to have been a part of it, and certainly believe that the impact of this building doesn't stop with just the employees that are there, but it will stretch on to the work that Desmond is doing and inspiring the work of other designers and owners within our region, and I think, nationally and globally. It's great work.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for your comments and your time. Like I said, one of the exciting things for the jury and these deep dive programs is that we have such diversity in, the finalists. So our next one, which will be coming up, and I think Lisa will wrap us up here, but thanks for your time, and I'll hand it over to Lisa Kelly.
All right. Thank you, Robin, and our jury for identifying these three amazing finalists in the Healthy Places category. I thank everyone for their time and effort, their presentations today, giving us a little bit more of a deep dive into your project and helping us understand the impact it has. And we really, really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you all in May. So thanks again. Thank you to our sponsors, and we will be following up with an email. Lisa D will be sending that out with a copy of this program, as well as additional information on the series and the opportunities to participate further with ULI Pittsburgh and join us in May.